Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into everything we know about Joffrey Baratheon from Game of Thrones Season 4. But before I begin, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, let's jump straight into it. With Joffrey basking in his glory, he's not very interested in planning his own wedding, including its security. Jaime attempts to go over this with him, but Joffrey insists to Jaime Lannister that the people of King's Landing know that he saved the city in the Battle of the Blackwater, and they know that he won the War of the Five Kings, and is convinced that there will not be a riot at the wedding. Jaime also decides to personally guard Joffrey, leaving the frustrated Sir Meryn to guard Tommen and Margaery. Joffrey later chastises Jaime for his age and loss of his sword hand, remarking on his empty pages in the Book of Brothers. At a breakfast celebration on his wedding day, Joffrey receives various gifts. Among them, he is given a book by his uncle Tyrion and a Valyrian steel sword forged from Ned Stark's sword ice by his grandfather Tywin. Pleased with the gift, he promptly destroys the book with his new sword, to the horror of his guests. He says the sword needs a name. One guest suggests Widow's Wail, which gains Joffrey's approval, reminiscing that it will remind him of his execution of Eddard Stark. In the Sept of Baelor, at the Purple Wedding celebration, Joffrey and Margaery are wed. At the wedding feast, a band plays the Rains of Castamere, a song which was played at the Red Wedding as the signal for the massacre to begin. Joffrey throws money at them and tells them to go away. Later, Sir Dontos Hollard performs in front of the royal family, and Joffrey promises a gold dragon to whoever knocks Dontos' hat off, which leads to many objects being hurled at his head. Joffrey then announces some entertainment that he has organized. A group of dwarves crudely reenacting the War of the Five Kings and fighting each other. Joffrey laughs hysterically during the show, spitting wine all over himself, though virtually no one else finds the spectacle anything other than disgusting. Once the dwarf show is over, Joffrey turns his attention to Tyrion and suggests he borrow a costume and join in. Tyrion politely declines and suggests that the king take himself into the show, with a veiled reverence to Joffrey's cowardice at the Battle of the Blackwater. Outraged by his uncle's mockery, Joffrey responds by pouring his wine all over Tyrion's head and appointing Tyrion as his new cupbearer. As the crowd watches in tense silence, Joffrey drops his goblet and orders Tyrion to pick it up. He then kicks it away and tells Tyrion to pick it up again, as Sansa picks it up and hands it to Tyrion instead. Joffrey demands that Tyrion kneel before him, but Tyrion doesn't move as they glare at each other. The standoff is interrupted by Margaery, who announces the arrival of the big wedding pie, which is cut by Joffrey with Widow's Wail, revealing dozens of doves hidden inside that burst forth and fly away with the exception of a few unwitting casualties. While Joffrey is eating his pie, he commands Tyrion to stay to bring him his wine. Tyrion does this and asks to leave, which Joffrey refuses. After drinking his wine, Joffrey begins choking. As he gasps for air, he staggers down from the high table and starts vomiting on the floor. Jaime runs from the crowd, and Cersei from the high table. Cersei holds her son in her lap. Her face is turned purple, and blood is running from his eyes and nose. With a last gesture, Joffrey looks up at Tyrion, who has picked up a goblet to examine it for poison, lifts an accusing finger in his direction, and then dies of asphyxiation. Cersei immediately accuses Tyrion of poisoning her son and demands that he be arrested. Joffrey's funeral is held at the Great Sept of Baelor, with Cersei, Tommen, and Tywin attend to pay their respects. Tywin informs Tommen that with Joffrey's death, the crown will pass to him. Though the realm enters the appropriate period of mourning in the wake of the king's death, virtually no one even bothers to pretend that the late king's death was a tragedy. Over Joffrey's corpse, Tywin lectures Tommen on what it takes to be a good king, despite Cersei's feeble complaints that this is neither the time or the place for this. He says that Joffrey was neither a wise nor a good king, and that had he been, he might still be alive. After Tywin leaves and Jaime arrives, Cersei is adamant that it was Tyrion who killed Joffrey, and asks Jaime to kill him to avenge their son. Jaime scornfully asks why he was forced to love such a hateful woman, and then sleeps with Cersei in front of their son's corpse. After Joffrey's death, his younger brother Tommen succeeds him as king. Other than Cersei, Joffrey was not particularly mourned by anyone. Even his own alleged supporters had come to see him as a hindrance to future Lannister political goals. Lord Tywin himself openly scorns Joffrey in front of his own corpse during his wake, openly admitting that his grandson was an awful king and deserved what he got. Though gone, Joffrey's death had devastating consequences. Tyrion is put on a Pharisee court trial for Joffrey's murder, prompting him to demand a trial by combat. That decision ultimately leads to the near-fatal injury of Gregor Clegane and the deaths of Prince Oberyn Martell, Shae, and Tywin himself. For his part, Tyrion is freed by Jaime from imprisonment and smuggled out of Westeros after he is sentenced to death. Oberyn's death also leads to a conflict with Doran that results in the death of Marcella. Olenna Tyrell later confides to Margaery that it was she who poisoned Joffrey in order to protect her from Joffrey's beastly nature, that he had very clearly displayed with Sansa. And Peter Baelish revealed to Sansa that he and Dontos Hollard provided Olenna with the poison. At no point did Joffrey control all of the Seven Kingdoms. In his first year of his reign, his faction only controlled the Westerlands, the Crownlands, and a narrow strip of the southern Riverlands between the two. By the second year of his reign, his faction managed to gain control of most of the southern Westeros. After the Battle of the Blackwater, he had gained control of the Stormlands in support of the Reach, with the Vale and Dorne at least neutral to his reign. For a few short weeks before the death of Robb Stark and Joffrey's own death, he nominally extended his control over the North and the Riverlands, though functional control would take some time. As scattered Stark Tully holdouts continued to resist the Boltons were loathed almost universally in the North, so no one followed them wholeheartedly. Stannis remained free and in defiance of Joffrey on Dragonstone, while Joffrey never controlled the Iron Islands at all. The constant civil wars of Joffrey's time on the Iron Throne drained the remaining financial resources of the Crown and House Lannister, drastically exacerbating what was already a massive debt crisis with the Iron Bank of Braavos. So what did you guys think of Joffrey Baratheon from Game of Thrones Season 4? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.